Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to today's edition of Prime R on my Media Prime. Traditionally, Tuesdays editions of Prime R are dedicated to discussing issues relating to marriage and relationship. And this evening, we're going to be looking at another topic, asking the question as to whether educated and religious persons necessarily make good marriage partners. Are we living better as educated or religious couples from those who are pagans and those who are uneducated? Secondly, we also are going to be looking at the concept of intertribal marriages. We are going to be looking at the ups and downs of this form of marriage that is gaining more grounds in Cameroon and across Africa and the world. We are discussing this with our panelists who are in the house already. Apostle Essingue, Alfred, is in the house. He is a regular panelist. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, my brother who is just coming back from the sabbatical, doing great exploits in Boya. I celebrate you so much, Apostle Lefor Divine, for the great works you're doing in the land. We recognize it.
We also are in the company of Apostle Lefor Divine. They call him the love doctor. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo, and good evening, Apostle Alfred. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I'm glad to be here again. It's been a while. I had a little sabbatical in preparation for the anniversary of our ministry Wisdom Festival. It's a great program, and I'm glad to be back on all the way from Boya. And I believe we are going to have another interesting time, and Wisdom is going to speak again. And greetings to all our televiewers and to even our panelists from afar. Okay.
We also are going to be having contributions from Bamenda, Northwest Regional Capital, through Mrs. Asanji Yvette, who is a great counselor and has been touching lives out there for the people of the Northwest. We also hope, Mrs. Asanji, that our Prime R baby is doing so well. I'll start with you, Apostle Essingue. What is the relationship between education and marriage? Does it help in any way?
Yeah.
Education, I mean going to school.
Yes, I understand. Education is good for everything you want to do in the society. But to a greater extent, education is limited in certain societies. Okay. Education is limited to passing exams and maybe obtaining a certificate. And that is the qualification. But I think that if somebody thoroughly goes through schooling and then school goes through the person, marriage will become a very wonderful place. Unfortunately, most people just go and they are touching everything. I cannot imagine that some people will never enter a class for a whole year. They cannot enter up to 10, 15 times, but they can graduate from the university because they can pick notes from their friends and then copy one or two things and then come. Those kind of people, when they get married tomorrow, they become a problem. So when we're talking about education that affects marriage, it's relative. It means that to those who take their education seriously, because they will understand what it means, manners, they will know ethics, they will know how to approach even someone who is not their husband, you know. But if someone does not have that particular knowledge of how to respect or how to hold people in esteem or even to respect their own very neighbors around them, they cannot be good wives. So that is not going to be attributed to education. It's going to be attributed to the personal, is the person that did not go through the process of transformation. Because the intent of education is to transform, is to build, is to change behavior. But if education does not change your behavior, it means that you were not educated. What happens is you went through school, and in school anything can happen. You may just maybe steal and graduate, maybe bribe and graduate, or maybe have an affair with the teacher and graduate. But the real aspect of being educated, it's not found maybe in school. It's found in the day-to-day culture, how you're raised, how you meet people, and how you can apply knowledge to your life. So I am saying right now that education has much to do in marriage. Unfortunately, many people are not educated. They went through school.
Okay. And Kongo Robinson, good evening to you. You're watching on our social media handle. You say this is my best program. Thank you very much. Lawrence Shea, good evening. Ako Ike, good evening to you and to you. Okay. Yes, all of you guys are watching. Now, what is the relationship between education, going to school, a PhD holder, a professor? Does that have a relationship with marriage? Can we say that, okay, you're going to school is preparing you for marriage also?
Well, it's a technical question, and I think even the way the apostle approached it, you will discover that it's a question that cannot just easily have a yes or a no. It's the same like saying, does education help somebody to be successful in life? You will discover that we cannot easily say yes or no. And so success in life, which also includes success in relationship, can be affected by education. Like so many times here on this panel, we have seen that even compatibility has a lot to do even with educational status or the educational levels and all of that. But because generally education should transform. Unfortunately, the kind of education we have in Africa, or generally what we do in Cameroon, I'm talking in line with formal education, which I'm sure that's what we're really talking about here, has a lot to do with passing exams. You will hear a teacher will tell a student, go and read, and the first question they'll ask, "It go come for exam?" You know, it go come for exam. You know, that's always the question. The question is not to study to know, but it go come for exam. And unfortunately, life has its ways that it tests us without telling you say that this part go come for exam or that one go come for exam. You know, you can learn something today and it helps you, but 5 years from now, you can experience something today, or you can know something today and it helps you 10 years from now. So all of that put into perspective, it's just like how, but generally I would say the same way some people have come up with some very funny cliche statements that makes it look like education does not contribute to success. I say it's a lie. In our modern world today, education has a big role to play with success. I know supposed to say, oh, this person dropped out of school, but he's a billionaire. A lot of times they just take 1 or 2 rare cases. And how many people drop out of school and they become billionaires? And sometimes they want to quote us some tech gurus,
Jeff Bezos,
and all of those people, and
Mark Zuckerberg.
and you are talking about somebody who, if I sometimes even check out the kind of school that they dropped out from. Somebody dropped out from Oxford. Oxford. First of all,
before you arrive
Oxford, you must. Oxford is not a place that takes any kind of brain, any kind of, and most of the time you will discover that they step down from the formal school to concentrate on something they had discovered, which needed lifelong commitment. So basically, I would say that education just has a way it increases your ability to process things. It should increase your cognitive abilities. It should increase, for example, there are a lot of things that you study in primary school that maybe if they bring in now in exam, you might fail. But at that point in time, it was expanding your mind. It was expanding your brain. Few of us can remember some of the things that they taught just in secondary school biology. But now, was that a waste of time? No. It was expanding your mind.
Relate that to marriage.
Yes, our point is this. Education should, we say should, because it does not happen in all the cases. It should, but it does not mean that it always happens, because individuals must take responsibility to apply knowledge to make a difference. So we are saying education can affect success in marriage if it actually increase the person's cognitive behavior, advance the person's behavioral patterns. If
you are saying if
yes, but if it doesn't, yes,
you are theorizing.
Yes,
that's at the level of hypothesis.
Yes,
that hypothesizing.
Yeah, right? That means if no, we're saying that education. Okay, why are you?
If we were to carry out a study, but now, please, I want us to get serious. you are a marriage counselor as well as yourself. There are persons who have come to you, you have lived, you have observed. What is the situation of married people who are very educated?
Statistically speaking, we had to lay the foundation.
Yes.
And we have just laid the foundation, trying to talk about how education has done, should be. But statistically speaking, most educated people have very poor marital life.
Okay.
Yes, poor homes. And they have so many crises. You will hardly see uneducated people going for counseling. You will hardly.
They understand themselves.
They understand themselves. They know if in a fight, we'll hold and fight. If not correct, after we finish, we'll fix them back. That they understand. The uneducated people has a pattern. They are not going out to want to begin to hear all the theoretical application of marriage. No. There and there, they handle their problems. And some of them live in marriage for a very long time. But unfortunately, the educated people have so many questions to answer, so many things to justify, so many things to criticize, and as they are going forward, marriage is becoming unbearable. We have been following things here, and we have been listening to a lot of people talk. Most of the people that are talking are at least university degree holders. Most of the people that have been calling us and complaining about marriages, most of them are at least university holders, to tell us that education has not played the part it should play in marriage. And in our society where we are today, education is only helping people to have bad marriages. Because no, I know my right. Yes, that question, I know my right, has become a problem. I know my right. Ask how many people who know their right survive in marriage. Because marriage is not a place where people know their rights. You know, it's a place where people tolerate, ignore, and waive rights.
but I've walked up here.
Yes.
Let him
Yes.
Yes.
You know, I'm telling you this truth. I'm telling you because they know all the exegesis of how things should be.
Yeah.
So they begin to ask questions over everything. But the other man, the uneducated person, a man is saying, "Man, I calculate the man, I calculate that, I calculate. I know I go handle it." Then when you reach somewhere, she knows or he knows how to calm down. I know this thing so well. It's just like those who are into scamming. Educated people cannot survive in scamming because they have so many things to judge. Even in the military, they don't take any kind of educated person there because there are some things they will tell you shoot. An educated man will ask that why, but an uneducated person will not answer. He will just do it and then begin to regret after. That's exactly how our marriages have been today. A lot of people are suffering. I'm talking because I talk with a lot of people almost every day. People call me from different places and I talk with people in this country and out of the country. So I understand most educated people have problems because they have rights. I know my right. I know my right. But marriage is not a place where people know rights. It's a place where people waive their rights. It's a place where people ignore their rights. Do you know that if everybody wants to apply education to marriage, marriage can never survive? Because you will not be able to take nonsense. You'll not be able to take shit. You'll not be able to take some things because they have told you in education some things you should not take because you have studied. So a lot of families are suffering. I'm telling you right now, a lot of homes are suffering. And most of them raise children who are really a problem to the society. Most educated people, they raise children who are a problem to the society because one thing they do is they are never there for their children and the peer influence is taking over the children. And it has become a great challenge. You know, you go to work, you don't care where your child is, and you leave your children at the mercy of teachers and maybe nannies. And at the end of the day, what happens? Your children learn to know what they were told by teachers and what the nanny told them. But you don't instill your own values in them because of, you know, your educational background, your this and this and this and this and this. Am I saying that education is bad? No, it's not bad. But I'm saying that while trying to build your life or your career, you should also seek to do what? To apply it to your normal day-to-day life. Apply what you know to your everyday life, including your marriage. Your marriage should also taste a little bit of your knowledge. Your marriage should take a little bit of your wisdom. Your marriage should taste a little bit of all you know. You cannot tell us you know so much, but you cannot apply it into marriage. I'm telling you, now, there are a lot of young people today who are entering to marry career women, and it has brought a lot of problems instead. You know, you enter into marrying a career woman. We have heard people here complaining that, you know, they respect me. She's despising me because I'm not educated, and she is educated, which shows that education in that part did not teach that lady that you have to, in marriage, you don't put your what you know, you put instead the situation that is in front of you.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Education opens our minds, it shapes our behaviors. To deal with an illiterate is the most difficult thing in this world. They are filled with complex and talk anyhow. If you see an educated person behaving funny, it means that individual naturally has a bad character. Agbotambe Ferino, the Nikash writing from Kumba. Yes, but we have seen illiterates who are multi-billionaires in Cameroon. I don't know why educated persons could not also do what those illiterates could do. Good evening. I'm called Vanessa in Moliko, Boya. Love the program. Thank you very, very much. This one reads, good evening. To an extent, in the past, uneducated people made it in marriage without knowing many things, but today, many educated persons find it difficult to stay in marriage. The awareness has caused many problems in marriage. Worse is an educated marrying an uneducated person. It will take the grace of God to live successfully. Okay, thank you. The love doctor. Are we saying that, because going by what he's saying, is it the fact that the uneducated persons actually use the wisdom of traditional wisdom, always rushing to parents to guide them, fix their problems, or to tell them how to handle their issues, compared with the educated persons who will go and read the theory from this white lady, theory from this. Yes, and those are the theories that they're applying. But uneducated, they know that when they have problem, they will call either the mother of the girl, or they move to the village.
Yes, they know what to do.
Yeah. That's traditionally, they use the traditional method of solving problems.
Yes.
But the educated persons to say, let me go and consult what Dr. this said.
Yeah. I think there's something that has that's going on, Mr. Liu, in the world today, which is of great concern. And the truth is, in our generation, our problem is not knowledge anymore. You see, we are so exposed to knowledge, and this exposure makes everyone too familiar with knowledge, and it makes you to assume to know. For example, you will discover, like what you just said, people don't see the need for ancient landmarks, as the Bible will call it. The Bible talks about something called ancient landmarks. We are talking about some foundational things, some pivotal things, which sometimes we have mentioned here, which you have mentioned one, which talks about gaining wisdom from parental wisdom. It could also be gaining wisdom from elders, gaining wisdom from wise counselors, or mentorship in general. Look at it, Mr. Liu, our generation, even our generation, cannot be mentored for more than 3 months. No, just look at it. Basically, a young person cannot see themselves submitting to something now for more than 3 months. I'm telling you, it's a whole thing. Do you know whites have come to study the Igbo method of mentorship? That Igbo, because they found that
they're even doing studies on the Bamileke Jangis.
Yes, they are studying it. Now, why? They discovered it was so difficult for an Igbo man to fail. They were like, why? Is it like it's genetic? Is it like... Now, they came to discover that it had to do with even their system of upbringing. There is nobody who dares into, for example, business, who has not been mentored for at least 7 years. Now, it's like a normal system. A mother in the village will just carry the child, even they cannot have money to go to school, go dash some man.
Could be a place that they have good marriage. I want to just know about.
No, it's not. No, I'm coming. No.
I was talking about a tribe. Just try to cite some things so that I can know that.
Yes, no. I was just talking about knowledge.
Yes.
No, because we're talking about how knowledge affects marriage, and my point is this: the truth is, knowledge in our generation without understanding has led to what we're talking about. That's the simple truth. People have advanced in so much. I know
but they have no understanding because
they have very little mastery of what they claim to know.
Exactly. So it looks like we have more knowledge, but we are not producing the results of the people who had little or less knowledge. I keep shouting this every day, and I say wisdom is not just information. Today there's so much information from your phone. You can access anything around the world, and it can make you feel like you know. I tell people say, I know 10 tips of having a good marriage, 3 tips of, you know, and when you read like this.
Instead of going to see that grandmother.
Exactly. Instead, who will tell you the truth? Who will tell you that this thing like this is how it's handled? You might know, like he mentioned something. People know a lot about their rights. I say this even in systems, because marriage is a system. You cannot deny this. Marriage is a system. A home is a system. You will discover that people often know their rights, but they don't know their duties. When we're growing up, you cannot talk about rights without duties. Rights and duties. But unfortunately, an egoistic generation will always talk more about their rights. I know my rights. No talk for me so. But what about your duties? So I think this air of we somehow know. This is the thing that has led to what we are seeing today. And honestly, that's the truth. Like you asked the question, Mr. Leo, as a counselor, the more people are going ahead, the more people are educated, the more people have been enlightened. The truth is, marriage has become a little bit more complicated in our generation than it was before. And this era of knowledge, and it goes to marriage and sorts of many other things, even ministry. You will see people call with Rema. We have deep, anyway, we're going to religious. We have deep knowledge of this, of that. But all of a sudden, I keep saying, knowledge without understanding. For example, he says, I will give you shepherds who will feed you with knowledge and understanding. In fact, to know something is one thing, to understand how it can be applied is another. So if you cannot apply the thing that you have known, and it can shape even your relationship, then it's useless knowledge.
Okay.
So I think that's the reality on ground.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Please, I wish to say that there is no PhD or first school living certificate. In my opinion, characters play a lot as far as marriage is concerned. Jonas is writing from Bafia. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Where is Apostle Lambe? For God's sake, I want him to talk on this matter. Thanks. Chloe is writing from Bamenda. Apostle Lambe has a program is handling. That's why it's not there this evening. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Nice topic with great minds. Mr. Leo, marriage is a school in itself where they both study and learn themselves till death. Luis is writing from Malabo. Good evening, Luis. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Educated couples are the highest homes with problems and even divorce, especially when the woman is more educated than the man. Religious persons are the worst because when you start hearing the man saying women shouldn't talk while they are talking or being submissive, they just take advantage of women. Stephanie is writing from Chang. Religious persons are the worst to have good marriage. Most of them hide under the canopy of the church. They perform good character at the front, but behind they do terrible things. Educated persons to an extent use wisdom in a relationship to secure their marriage. Gwendoline is writing from Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. Great program. I am Mark. Okay, good evening to you. Mark, let's now take a listen to Mrs. Asanji Yvette as she contributes from Bamenda.
Greetings, Mr. Liu. Greetings to my co-panelists. Greetings to televiewers. Mr. Liu, I've counseled a good number of people that are highly educated. In fact, I can tell you that 85% or approximately 90% of my clients are those that are highly educated. But to be honest with you, I don't see a correlation between their education and their marital success. That's to say that how successful a marriage is doesn't necessarily depend on somebody's educational level. I think somebody rightly said the more somebody is educated, the more confused they become. It was really funny to have. Actually, it's one of my clients, and I think he has PhD. So he said, "Madam, you know, sometimes the more educated we go like this, sometimes the more confused we even get." So one thing is that being educated is good, but marriage is an institution that if you want to succeed in it, you must study. You must have an understanding of what it takes to make a marriage work. You could have PhD in any other field, which is not marriage, but that doesn't mean because you are a PhD holder it's going to make your marriage to work. So we've seen what it takes marriages to work. You can talk about the commitment, you can talk about trust, you can talk about communication, and all of that. But sometimes even the people that are highly educated, they fail to understand how to communicate, because communication is one key challenge in marriage. It's not just about what you say, but it's how you say it, where you say it. Imagine correcting your spouse in public. Because one thing I've seen with most of the educated people is that they focus more on reiterating. You can see them, they reiterate, they try to correct all the time, they try to put emphasis, whereas maybe marriage is not, that's not what is needed. Living happily with your spouse takes more of an understanding of what marriage is, not about the education itself. Mr. Leo, most people that are educated, I will not lie to you, they lack tolerance. I know that for marriage to succeed, we must be able to tolerate some things. But tolerating some things means tolerating on important issues, not tolerating things like abuse, not tolerating things like bad behavior, and you can name them. So most educated people, they believe so much in career. Some are so focused on career, they want to make it in life based on their career, but they give less time, less commitments to the marriage. So here we can talk about priorities. Before people are getting married, do they define their priorities? What are your priorities? For example, my husband and I know that our priorities are God, family before work. So sometimes I might be doing counseling sometimes 3 a.m. due to time differences, time zone, because somebody might be out there, their time is different from ours. So if it happens that it might be against, or maybe it's, let's say, against family time, the time that I'm supposed to be spending with my family, my husband will tell me, "Madam, this is family time. Work needs to stay aside." And sometimes I might need to plead with him to understand that, okay, maybe due to time differences and all of that, I have to do counseling at such hours. So I'm just trying to say that our priorities, if we don't define our priorities, no matter our level of education, we cannot make it in marriage. Talk less of the religious people. Being religious, yes, it can help your marriage to a certain extent, because you might have to pray about some key things. You might restrain yourself from doing certain things that you will have done them if you were not a religious person, and all of that. But it takes more than just religion and education for a marriage to be successful. That's why sometimes you see the marriage of illiterates are even doing better than those that are highly educated. If you want to look at the reasons why, you see that some of them, they value their time spent together, they value they value the attention they give to each other. But people that are highly educated, they are pursuing career, they're doing this or they're doing that, and sometimes they give less time for marriage.
Thank you, Mr. Asanji, for that contribution. Apostle Alfred Essingue, let us look at the religious aspect of it. We necessarily very submissive, very loving as a religious couple. At least we spend most of our time in church, praying and receiving direction from the Word of God.
It's really a pity.
Okay.
I say this because I'm that kind of human being that I don't enter into things just to enter. I make critical judgments about situations. I've worked with different institutions, even the ones that are very holy, the ones that are charismatic, the ones that are just normal. And what I found out is that a lot of people don't survive in Christian marriages because, one, knowledge have increased and they are trying to use their knowledge to mix it with religion. They cannot take that particular nonsense they used to take from men, which our culture brought it to us as we were growing. That's why people of the old, as we always say, survived more in marriage, even without the knowledge they have at all. They give people counsel that people can survive in marriages. And of course, young people survived in marriages and also could advise others to continue in marriages because of the coaching from our grandparents and the people that were coming behind. But unfortunately, the religion and education doesn't tie. It doesn't tie. And when it is found in a home, there's bound to be problems. When it's found in a home, now people have now got a Greek word for submit. Wives submit. Now there's a Greek word for submit now, which tells the woman that no, it's not submit, it's that you people should work together or something like that. They try to decorate that word to make it very, very rigorous. At the end of the day, what happened? What happened? The woman now understands that I'm not supposed to take nonsense from my husband as the church is talking about. So the education and the religion is not moving. This one does not only have to do with the educated people, it has to also do even with the uneducated people. Because Christian marriages are really suffering. I can boldly make this claim that Christian marriages are really suffering, especially with the advent of the internet, where people go to study a lot of things in the internet and want to come and apply in their marriage and discover that it cannot work. Pastors are suffering, elders, leaders are suffering. You know, the whole thing, it becomes a little bit pathetic when a pastor's wife can no longer take nonsense from the husband because the husband is not educated. The husband is like, he did not finish class 7 or does not even have first school and so on. And because of that, she thinks she needs to be free to do whatever she wants to do. So that mixture becomes a problem. When religion cannot go alongside with education, then coming again to marriage, it is a problem. I want to talk about divorce today. Who are the people divorcing? It's not unbelievers that are divorcing, it's mostly Christians that are divorcing. And the reason they are divorcing is because of what they have gotten, the new knowledge they have had. They have knowledge now that they don't respect elders. You see, even these young girls in church, they won't respect the counsel of their leaders in church. They will go ahead and choose the man they want to marry. At the end of the day, it cannot work because one, the same disrespect they gave to their church is the same disrespect they will give to the husband. That is why I will tell a young man, if a lady can support you to rebel against your pastor or to rebel against an institution that is taking care of you, please be afraid. Don't accept that kind of person, because they will accept in your marriage for you to go astray, and they won't honor you or respect you when troubles start coming in marriage. Obviously, troubles will always come in marriage. Obviously, challenges will always come in marriage. What will sustain you is the quality of faith you have in Christ that will keep you going. Not even what you know as education or whatever, because even educated people come to a point where they are frustrated. They come to a point where they cannot understand the next steps to take, which it just needs a little drop of the Holy Spirit in your mind. The Holy Spirit tells you something and you say, oh, that is true. That is true. Now, I got married to my wife when I had just ordinary levels. By the grace of God, today I have a degree, which it is that challenge I got, that you stay with a woman who is educated and you are not educated to a certain extent. Now, problem for your own life. And then I began going back to school until I, got what I get, and then reading other things I'm reading today and moving ahead with other things I'm moving today. But these things came as a result of one, the fear of God in me. I wanted to preserve my home. I wanted to keep my integrity. I wanted to make sure that I don't thwart my testimony in the nation. Because I know that if I have problems in my marriage, it will affect what I do in the gospel. So I knew that the only way to survive was to merge education and my religious practices. Because if you do only the religious practices, some of the things you do will conflict with what the woman knows. And what the woman knows will conflict with what you know. It will become a problem. So I think that people need to know how to blend their religious duties with their affairs, with their careers, with their normal life. Now, religion, to most extent, has limitation when it comes to romance and other things. It has so many limitations. You know, you cannot tell your wife that turn this way. You cannot tell your, because if you turn like that, you look as if you are a carnal person or you are not spiritual. You're not spiritual. Yes, and you're not spiritual. And then when you want to take fasting or you want to take a time of prayer, they don't see the need and those kind of things. So religion is conflicting seriously with knowledge, especially when it comes to marriage. I am telling you, because many values in marriage have been truncated, have been destroyed because of the knowledge that have increased. Bible said it clearly that knowledge will increase, and that knowledge that will increase, if not well handled, it will not only destroy religion, but it will destroy the very fabrics of marriage.
Puffs up.
Yes, a lot of puff up will come. Somebody will just get up and say, I know my rights. Somebody will just come and I know they take with you pastor talk. Now, for first time we pastor be just talk, will take up. You know, and they go ahead and do what they want to do. There's a lot of meanness in the church today. I'm telling you,
Okay.
yes. Some of these churches, if you enter there now and see what is going on in the name of marriage, you will run away.
Okay, a lot of meanness. You react to that. Greetings, Mr. Liu. Thanks for this program. It shapes my marriage every day. Marriage does not have anything to do with education, Mr. Liu. When your partner is more educated than you, especially your wife, you are finished. She will use all the right that Queen Elizabeth don't even use just to control you. Mostly uneducated people live a happy married life. Okay, thank you. Mr. Leo, please, how do you handle a man who's always quick to say you still have a lot to learn, but when you point out things he does that aren't right, he makes you feel he knows everything and doesn't need to work on himself? If something is not going his way, then it's automatically wrong. Always makes you feel you have nothing to offer. Thank you. Complex situation there. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good things to all the panelists. My own point is that for a good marriage, let the man understand that the woman likes, and let equally the woman understand what the man likes, irrespective of their education or being religious. Adama is writing from Ndop. Good evening, Mr. Leo and apostles. I'm happy for the program. It's a good one. In my opinion, the educated couple face a lot of challenges because they can't apply knowledge to day-to-day life and are so intolerant. On the other hand, a marriage where one couple is educated also suffer more, not because the educated one is not respectful, but because of inferiority complex and insecurity of the uneducated partner. Apostles, please, if you find yourself in the second case, what can be done? Thank you. Honorine is writing from Douala. Good evening, Mr. Leo. One of the major challenges of marriage is that many people go to it without actually knowing that what it's all about. The educated people believe they know it all, but in the actual point, they are empty. Marriage is like someone who goes to school, comes out, and at the point of job searching, he or she sees that the practical is quite different from the theory. This is what many fail to understand about marriage. Abraham is writing from Cyprus. Good evening, sir. I love the topic. Read Timothy 3, verse 7. It says, ever learning and never come to the knowledge of the truth. Valerie is writing from Boya. Good evening, Mr. Leo and the panelists. The question should be what we call or mean by education. If I am what you call illiterate and I'm capable of solving my marital problems more than you who call yourself educated, then surely you have not gotten the right education in that aspect. Be it traditional or Western education, all is education. People only have problems when they practice what is beyond their culture and common way of life. An African woman intoxicated by Western education will claim they know their rights. The type of education we have today is quite horrible because it lacks contextual backing that can transform character. Hilary Tabit is writing from Bomenda. Good evening, Mr. Leo with great minds. Mr. Leo, marriage is a school on itself where both study and learn themselves till death I'm Pastor Luis, watching from Malabo. Now, somebody is writing about educated persons who tell you that I'm unknowledgeable.
Yes.
Where did you learn marriage? Because it's something that you learn.
You learn.
You may have a PhD in history. You have a PhD in physics. You're a professor of journalism.
Yeah.
But marriage is
Yeah.
practical. Is that not where the problem actually lies? People think that because you're more knowledgeable, you understand? Yeah.
That's actually the error people always make. Thinking that because you are more knowledgeable. I think we have sung this song so many times. We have said you can be succeeding in your career and fail in marriage.
Because marriage is something
It
that
happens
you practice
every time.
now. You have never practiced marriage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why even when we teach,
They don't even accept to go for counseling.
I even tell people, it's like even when we study, for example, when the church was marching on, when the church never understood prosperity, they were advancing in other areas. Like we have said here, this when we talk about maturity for people to get married, we say you should be mature what? Emotionally, you should be mature financially. We have seen very emotional people who are maybe they have learned emotional intelligence, but they don't have financial intelligence. So you cannot just know agriculture and automatically have good marriage. You cannot just have PhD and automatically, in fact, even while you are building good character and virtues, if you are not able to even choose the right person, you can be with the wrong person until something is wrong with you. I'm talking about even at the level of choice.
Yes.
At the level of choice, even a wrong choice can make you even feel like something is wrong with you. So I think this is something we learn also on ground in the process. And Mr. Lu, unfortunately, there's something that has happened in our time that it's a sad situation. Let me tell you the difference between knowledge and understanding. For example, knowledge, they can tell you 10 points to keep your husband. Point 8, be obedient. Now, you read a point like be obedient, and I remember one time I was having a training session, and I told somebody, I was talking something, I said, I was teaching on consistency. I said, be consistent if you want to be anything great. Then when I finished the point, I laughed. Then I put up my hand and said, which of you here have understood this point? Everybody put their hand. I said, okay, which of you are living here consistent? People put their hand and say, you're consistent in what? Now, all of a sudden, that knowledge gave a sense of a reality that is not there. I said, the only thing that's happened is you have copied down the note.
Yes.
To actually understand this point might take you 3, 4, 5 years to stick to something to actually make this knowledge real. But that's the problem with knowledge. You left there and you said, "Child, that program be strong. I come off for there with Sam, man don't know all the 10 things that we make a marriage." Are you getting?
Apostle talk.
Yes. So this is the point. This knowledge, these things that people have picked here and there.
You attended 20 seminars.
20 seminars. Yeah. Talk to me, sir. I know this thing. I know. They have told you. For example, they will tell you when your husband talk, or let me say, be respectful. You have written on that point, but they don't know that it might take you 20 actions of humiliating experiences to actually apply that point. So they will go and apply it 1 or 2 times, and then when it does not work, they come back. You can see apply the insult you on top. You can actually be obedient. You get it? It does not give you the change automatically, because knowledge that has not been, that you have not actually interacted with, is not life. This is the reality. The Bible says Jesus knew that he was equal with God. He said that knowledge, he knew that it was a reality. Philippians chapter 2. He said, but he humbled himself and served. You see, and then they said, let this mind be in you as it was in Christ. Today we know too much. The Bible says knowledge that pops up. They say the whole world will be filled with knowledge, but it is puffing up. Why? Any knowledge you have not applied makes you puff up. It makes you brag. Like when you see we young ministers who are coming up, there's a way somebody talks online. I used to, all of us have been there. Possibly as a child, I spoke like a child. But now that I've grown up, put away this thing, you hear the way somebody talk, you discover that aim is not even to pass across knowledge. It's just to brag that they know something.
Yes.
If you even if you want somebody to learn, even the way you talk matters.
Yes.
You see, so but these are the realities. So I think our challenge, even in the religious circle, is there's a way that piety and religious pride, that thing that makes you puff up,
that makes you feel you are better off than others. Like when we used to teach, you describe these people you are talking about. Check your Bible. People who just knew that they were nothing, that came to God like empty vessels, often experience Him more. Because there's something that your mind just clouds you and makes you think you know. Why do you think people are not taking counsel? They believe they know. Why do you think they are not humbly accepting? They believe they know. So there is something in our minds that are contending with truth and reality, and we have that wrong sense of I already know. So I think this is the reason why religious people don't automatically make for good spouses. Unfortunately, we have the principles. God has enlightened us. It's there. We have it. It's there. But why are we? Mr. Liu, I'm telling you, I was counseling an elder who was coming to church. They are wearing the same dress. But I'm telling you the truth, they have not slept in the same room for over 6 years. True story. That means they have not slept in the same room for over 6 years. I was talking.
It is not demonic.
Yeah,
it is knowledge.
Knowledge. I was talking. The man said he has not eaten his wife's food for close to 7 years. True story.
But they're living under the same
roof. They are living under the same roof.
It's happening every day.
I'm telling you the truth. There are things, if we share here, you will weep. So these are the realities, and I think people must come to that place where we empty ourselves and we ask ourselves, what really is the truth about this marriage thing?
About marriage.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. Education is a set to boost the reasoning capacity of every human being, but in marriage, wisdom plays more wisely than knowledge. A reason why uneducated couples are more likely to go through their marital struggles more than educated couples. Religion is also put in place to boost the morals of couples, yet the morals have been boiled down to zero in our society, as some couples prefer taking their marital problems to men of God, thinking they are the final solution to their problems. Annabelle is writing from Bedtoa. Good evening to you. Annabelle, difficult to take. Apostle Essingue. No. Can we also see the difficulty in which religious persons live in marriage with also the high rate of divorce amongst high-profile men of God?
See, when you call high-profile man of God,
because these are persons that are looked up to as those who are spiritually grounded to enjoy.
They are high profile.
Yes, to enjoy
the foundation of marriage.
Heavenly marriages on earth are supposed to be seen within this couple.
Good. The foundation of religion is to become a baby.
Okay.
In order for you to embrace it.
Yes, Jesus Christ says
it's the same.
Carries a child and say that if you
must enter the kingdom. Be like
it's the same like marriage. You must become a baby in order to survive.
No reasoning.
I have one of the best marriages. This one I'm not boasting about it. Okay. I'm telling you this. What is the reason? The reason is not because we don't have faults or we don't have challenges, but because we know how to navigate in our troubles. We know how to navigate. We know how to mix religion and our day-to-day lives. My wife is a career woman, and it takes grace for me to acknowledge, for me to understand how to embrace that kind of personality. Not the kind of career, that kind of career that you go in the morning and come back in the night, which you obviously may not be able to carry out some things you're supposed to carry. But it takes knowledge for me to navigate and understand that the periphery which this person is operating on is different. Then I go in now to cover up on the other areas. That is exactly what is happening. Now, those who have good marriages are not different. The only thing they do is that they know some different things that others don't know. How to be able to mix religion, being a pastor, being a man of God, and understanding a wife in the house. You were taught from your background that the wife is only supposed to be in the kitchen and some other things. Now, because of the influence that is happening, the things that you must stand there One, they go and look for what? A wife who is fair in complexion.
Mama must be
beautiful. No matter what they know, doesn't matter. My wife, ladies and gentlemen, behold my wife. Number two, they go and pick a woman, they don't know the culture of the woman. Because one of the things that the error that people make is that you must know the culture of the person you're about to enter into and try to see if there is a cultural compatibility between you two, you both. If not, you will find yourself in culture conflicts. And those culture conflicts will cause a lot of trouble. Now, when an educated man who is also religious and more so an influential pastor cannot manage a home, something is lacking somewhere. There is no that transformation that comes from within that tells you that you can forgive. You can forgive. That tells you that you can tolerate. That tells you that you have to be patient, because sometimes you have to be patient. Sometimes you want to tell a woman the worst. Let me tell you something, Mr. Leo. Do you know what it means that you tell a woman that we are going to place by 9 a.m. and the person is ready, the person start getting ready around 9 a.m. and finish around 10 when you're already late where you're going to. And then you begin to quarrel and argue, they are doing nothing about it. There will be a lot of trouble. Now, what is destroying our churches today and the marriages of pastors is lust.
Okay.
Lust. Lust does not know education. Lust does not know man of God. Lust does not know anybody. You look at a girl, she is beautiful. She's a young girl. Maybe she's not married. Maybe she has not given birth to children. So her shape is still intact. And the one that has given birth for your children, 1, 2, 3, 4, beautiful children for you. Shape has changed. Size have changed. Because you know mommy pastors, how they change in size now. Yes, they change in size every other day. Mommy. Because the chicken and all the meat and the fish, they are the ones keeping it in their room. Then fufu and the others plantains, they can keep it in other places. Because they swallow these things and they become heavy. Now, the man is not longer interested in that. The highest thing is to look at the young girl who is your security, who is your this, and is in church, you are attracted to. You don't have a choice. Now, that conflict come in. There is a conflict. The woman begins to be insecure because the woman thinks that something is going wrong here. And you, the man, say, you are the control. I am a pastor, so I have the right to talk to anybody I want to talk to, anything. And there will be a problem. Is that not what is causing us a lot of problems? A great man of God would divorce the wife and marry another in that same church, and Christians will still be clapping for you. Something is wrong.
Something is wrong. Okay.
Something is wrong.
Let's get the second intervention of Mr. Asanji Yvette from Pomenda.
Mr. Leo, one other problem that you will see couples face today, especially couples that are educated. Let's say a couple, one spouse is educated and the other spouse is not. Now, what will happen is that if they have a common ground, a common sense of what they think marriage is, because during premarital counseling we ask you, what do you think marriage is? To your understanding, what is marriage? Now, people will define marriage based on their experience, what they have experienced, or they will define marriage based on what they have seen around their vicinity, and all of that. But now, when we talk about having a common ground, we have what we call a traditional couple and a modern couple. Now, a traditional couple are those that have the mindset that the man is the head of the family. When he says yes, no man says no. Yes, in fact, he's the author and the finisher. And the woman has little or no role to play. You know, whether she's happy or not, she just needs to, let things be, because the man is the head and the leader. Now, a modern couple think, yes, the man is still the head and the leader, of course, but there are things that the man shouldn't just do them because he's the head and the leader. Now, a modern couple wants that we work together as a husband and wife, we take decisions together, whereas the traditional couple, the man takes the decisions and impose it. He takes decisions and imposes it on the wife. It might not be imposed in bed. The wife's opinion doesn't count. Now, in a modern couple, you discover that the husband and the wife, they work together to take decisions. Nobody imposes on the other. The man is the head, but he leads with wisdom. He doesn't dictate things on the wife because he's the head of the family. So if you see that a traditional and a traditional, let's say a traditional spouse, or two people get married that are from traditional mindset perspective, they can live happily, right? Because the woman knows that I don't say anything, and the man says everything. Now, if a modern couple also get married, two modern people get married, they'll also be fine. They'll also be fine. The modern couples will also be fine because they have a common grounds. They have, one understanding. Like the Bible says, when two people speak one language, that means you can able to talk and understand the other. But now, if it happens that let's say someone that has a traditional mindset gets married to, let's say a man that has a traditional mindset, gets married to a lady that has a modern couple mindset, you're going to see that they're going to have a lot of problems. Why? Because the lady will want that the man should seek her opinion in almost everything before taking any decision. She will not accept any kind of look down, like the man wants to look down on her. She will not tolerate any abuse. She will not tolerate anything. So this is where education comes in. Most people now, most educated people, they look at marriage somehow from the modern couple perspective. Even though we still have a lot of men today that look at marriage from the traditional marriage perspective, especially from what they saw their father doing to their mom. So they believe that the man has all the right to take decisions, to impose on the wife, to do whatever, and the woman has nothing to say, or her opinion does not count. This is where most of the problems in marriage comes from. So if two people are educated and they have a common understanding, they can live happily. I have had a couple that one is highly educated and the other is not. But guess what? They kept aside their education. The lady, who is even the more educated, kept aside her education and related with the husband on the grounds where both of them can understand each other. So marriage is not about you bringing terms or whatever you studied in school into it. No. It's about understanding who you're living with or who you're married to. Understanding what makes marriages work. What you might have studied is far from what makes marriages work. So you must consider learning aspects of living with somebody.
You have to consider many aspects. Now, marriage is a discipline and not a course. How do we do the practicals? How do we make people to understand that, like other courses, you need to know that you need some practicals? Because if you have to work like I am doing, you need some time after getting the degree.
Yes.
You need to practicalize what you learned so that you become better.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting that from your first two days in the discipline, you are the professional. I'm talking to you.
Okay.
Should we not always give ourselves time to learn this art of marriage, and then when the more we stay in it, we learn the techniques of surviving?
Yes, Mr. Leo, that's a very good approach. Unfortunately, somebody will say, so would it enter for test them? Are you talking at the level of relationship, or are you talking at the level of the marriage? Because like they will say, marriage, when they give you certificate before you start everything. But what you have said is very true. The truth is, anything that is practical needs to be implemented.
I say so because if you have attended any couple that is celebrating 40, 50 years together, they tell you that the only thing that has kept them is that
they kept growing.
Yes, it has been a learning process.
A learning process. That's the truth. That's the truth. And we cannot deny the fact that one thing is common among people who have stayed for long. They would tell you they grew together, they adapted, they were flexible, they learned to face challenges together. They will tell you that it was a continuous learning process. You see, one of the challenges we have with knowledge is that people come with already crystallized knowledge. Now, so it's supposed to be, I know this, this is my right, that's so it's supposed to be, no tell me nothing. And that's, you see, people, you start seeing traits of that even during dating. This is how people need to start taking into consideration profiling. Those are the kind of things. And following what you're saying, so look, one of my greatest challenge, like I was saying, I have with religion, is when we separate our religious life from expression of life. The life of God called Zoe. Jesus he came to give life and give life abundantly. Unfortunately, when we talk about religion, we're talking more of dogmas, doctrines, and then it looks like these things are separate from our life. And that's why we're having a problem. It looks like Jesus came for an expression of life. If we cannot express that life through family, through work, through our service in church, something is wrong with what we know. When religion instead looks like he's talking about how he looks at how he's merging his religion. I think what the better term for what he's saying is he's applying his religion to his marriage. Good. Simple. He's applying what he knows. No man can live beyond what their true conviction. I always say this. At the end of the day, look, people don't live based on their knowledge. They live based on conviction. Somebody can know this is true, but they will still live based on a conviction they have always had. And that's why you see our traditional people have better marriages, because their convictions were true. What we lack in our era is we don't have true convictions. So if I have a religion that is not, it's easy to say husband love, wife submit, but how is this practicalized in a day-to-day? And I think with all of this, starting from the level of dating into the marriage, and understand through the Holy Spirit that we will express this life, get to know, even knowing God. Don't we grow to know him? Do we know him all at once? I think this is a lifelong thing you're about to enter. And follow what you said, I believe that if people give themselves that room, and that's why I always say, marry a person, not who is perfect after you will not find, but who gives you the room to have the best expression of yourself. That's why we keep talking about purpose, know your purpose, and understand where you're going to. You are looking for someone who gives you that room for maximum expression of yourself. And I think there must be this implementation. So religion should not come and conflict. Our religious views should give us insight, enlightenment on how to be the best. I hear different people say, my marriage is this, is that. This thing works on understanding. Understanding. And we're not just talking about understanding that person. We're talking about understanding the word of God, understanding yourself, and understanding your partner. I think if these three understandings are put in place, men will live life. I believe in life. I don't just believe in doctrines. I believe in life. And that's why I have a problem with religion. Every time I teach, I keep saying it, and I keep saying that my gospel, my enlightenment, the Bible calls the gospel light. It should illuminate me to know what to do. And if I cannot apply it in the aspects of my life that I think are important, then something is wrong with the religion. And I think where religion should come in to help fix this thing, and not just give people creeds that does not have life.
Like Elizabeth Teke was saying something about, Elizabeth Teke says, marriage na love and understanding. If una love and understand una self, marriage go work fine. You know, what she was, it's like, to her it was a song, or maybe people think it's a song. But that's the basic of marriage. You love, also understand that people change, people evolve, hormones changes, and everything. Try to adapt to changes. That's what understanding is all about. And I think it must be applied in marriage. Unfortunately, Christians don't accept it because they are religious.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the team on board. Marriage requires wisdom and not education. 90% of successful married couples are not uneducated. Marriage is a school on its own where all the textbooks are written only by the couples involved. Marriages in the 20th century were more successful than those of the 21st century. In marriage, we need more wisdom than information. More information today come to deform most marriages. Gemo Elvis is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Elvis. Good evening, sir. This is a very sensitive topic. I think most marriages are not working out today because some people go into it for the wrong reasons. There is no dialogue, no tolerance, which happens to be the fundamentals in marriage. Kenji, which are writing from Douala. Good evening, Mr. Leo. This is an important topic. Marriage is a school in itself which have no graduation. That is why a certificate is issued before you go in. Therefore, I can say religion as an education has just a little part to play. We are having more divorce these days because a lot of people go into marriage without a knowledge about marriage. Nelson is writing from Bafusam. Mr. Liu, people always make this statement that marriage is a closed box, but yet they fail to understand that anything that comes out of that box needs to examine and understood. Marriage is all about human behavior, and to manage or cohabit with a behavior, you need to understand it. It's nothing to do with education or religion. It's understanding each other. Anunga is writing from Boya. Education and religion are just two marital factors out of many. Our parents were the best couples without education and religion. Marriage is a farm that needs clearing, planting, weeding, and harvest comes with time. Good evening, my media prime. My friend once said, as a woman, when you acquire a degree, make sure you get married before you continue with your education. This is very true, because after this level, girls will keep saying, he is not my level. And when they finally get married, they will think the educational level makes them superior and the marriage will not move perfectly. Honesty is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Leo. You see, we should be able to put things in context and be able to do distinction. It's also all about culture and what your religion and beliefs are. The Japanese, Chinese, Indians, and Arabs, for example, do not see marriage like Africans or Cameroonians. Trust me, it's far from religion. What the panelists are saying about marriage is different from what you would hear someone from Japan, China, India, or Thailand say. Africans will be talking about the Bible, while Japanese, who are Shintoists, Chinese, who are Buddhists, Indians, who are Hindus, will be talking something else. So you all should think again, okay? Hello, Mr. Liu and crew. Good evening. Please, how do you as a husband handle a situation where whenever you wish to perform your matrimonial duties as a man, immediately your hand touches your wife, her body begins itching. Secondly, she doesn't even relax and allow you put her into the game. James is writing from Tico. James, you need a counselor alongside your wife. You people need to meet a counselor. Good evening, Mr. Liu. It's Sandra from Yaoundé. I'm really enjoying the program of today. Please, I wish to ask if a Christian and Muslim can get married and they live successfully without any hindrance.
Yes.
I am dating a Muslim and I have a kid with him. He wants to marry me, but I am actually confused if a Christian-Muslim marriage can work. Please, I really need your advice. I think, good evening, Mr. Leo and the panelists. Marriage is a covenant relationship between man and woman that mimics Christ's relationship with his church. God instituted marriage for companionship. Therefore, a successful marriage must involve God for the couple to experience intimacy and growth. Pastor Chi Palmas writing. Okay. Now, I want to use the example of my boss. My boss is a Christian. The wife is a Muslim. They are living happily.
You're talking about 90%.
Yes.
That's what you're trying to talk about, is 90%. And in social statistics, we don't take 90%.
Okay.
We don't accept that particular thing. One of our consultants that came here the other day, who is a Muslim, declared it openly. You cannot marry a Muslim without you being converted to Islamism. True of us. That's it. He said it clearly. You must be converted. That's the truth. We saw it when Patrick Moma wanted to marry here, a Muslim. He had to go and become a Muslim in order to keep that wife. These are some of the things. Now, it may not show anything. You just have a child with him. At least that one is separate. But there will be a time when you want to marry. You must go through those rites, meaning that even your Christian virtues are going to be tampered with. This other lady that was trying to talk about Shintoism, Hinduism, and all the like, We are talking about generalized. We in our
Yeah.
statistics, we are doing generalized statistics.
Religion.
Even those people have religions.
Yes.
They have traditions, they have customs that apply to their marriages. And some of them, if they tell you the inhumane ways they treat their spouse, you will not even talk here. At least we have the liberal mind that we have accepted capitalism, we have accepted Western civilization, so we can apply it to our marriages. But some of these people, their wives cannot talk where they are. You must cover your face before you come out when strangers are there. You know, those kind of rules, there are a lot of rules that are applied in those kind of marriages. They also apply their religion, they apply most of the things. And the few who are educated, they always find problems in their marriages, and they are even, you know, threatened to be killed if they don't submit or whatever. So when we are talking as maybe people who are civilized in the Western civilization, you should be able to be attentive, because we are telling you what we have as knowledge, blending all cultures in the world. Because we're not talking about only about African culture when it comes to these educational things. Religion, education, and maybe marriage is a universal something. Marriage is universal, and it has a connotation of universal cultures, because marriage is a culture. Wherever you go, marriage is a culture. It is accepted in every culture. In different ways they practice it, and some of them have very inhumane practices which dehumanized their husbands or dehumanized their wives. We have those kind of things in knowledge. So Christians have come to a point where they need to know how to blend the society and marriage, society and their religion. Christians must grow to that extent, because I know right up to now there are some pastors who don't even want to know what is out there. They don't even want to know about politics. If I tell you that I'm following the elections in Nigeria 1-to-1, I'm following right up to any statement that somebody make, I follow up to those kind of things. Why do I do that? Because I also know that the economy of Nigeria affects that of Cameroon. I also know that the culture of Nigeria also affects that of Cameroon. And if you have no knowledge about what is happening around you, there's bound to be a problem. That's why you see Apostle Abe is very diverse. You know, people like to hear from Apostle Abe today because he is diverse. If Apostle Abe was just that rigid Christian or born again that is so rigid, you people would not want to listen from him. You know, but because we are blending, we are trying to blend the society and religion. You criticize it.
We will not even be here talking.
Yes.
If all the things that we knew
good
was just religious creeds.
Religion. Mr. Leo will not call us.
He will not call us here if everything we knew was religious creeds.
If we're just talking church here, he will not call us because he knows that he doesn't appeal to his audience.
Yes.
So, but we are now talking to the general society, and we are making it universal, so that you can be able to learn that you must be able to balance yourself with others. Even as an educated person, you should find out you were educated in one thing, you were not educated in everything. So before you go to another thing, you must study how that thing works.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Educated African women are bad marriage partners to a very great extent. Willie is writing from Bonaberry. Good evening, sirs. The fact that illiterates stay in marriage than educated people doesn't mean their marriage is better. Most illiterate women have just learned to stay in abusive marriage. Agbo Tambe writing there. Greetings, Mr. Leo, and to the men of God. Still an interesting topic. Both educated and religious persons are not necessarily good marriage partners, because marriage is a continuous learning process, being educated or not, or being a religious person or not. Kevin is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you at the studio. This is Roland from Boya. Marriage is a gift from God. If you find the right person, you will flow. Nothing can be attached to it. I appreciate my homonym, Apostle Alfred, for his contributions. Man of God, you are actually hitting hard tonight. You need one man after the program contributing from Yaoundé, okay? There should be another Alfred writing from Yaoundé. Apostle does not drink beer. Good evening, Mr. Liu. A man who is well educated can live well with a woman who is not well educated, because the will always humbles herself to him. This is so because the man is the knowledge bank in case of any difficulty. From Mr. Beck, okay? Mr. Liu, I do appreciate your programs always. Just to make my point on this topic of marriage. Education without wisdom is a crime. The two do blend. If a man gets married to an uneducated woman who is blessed with wisdom, they will move ahead positively. Perfect. Education is not a barrier to a better home, but wisdom. I reiterate, Mr. Ta is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to the entire crew on board. I'm Linus Tala in Yaoundé. Please help me, tell me what to do in this situation. I have a child with a girl I wanted to get married to, but she accused me of going out with another girl, and in effect she cancelled all our marriage plans. I tried many things with her to no avail. She kept on telling me to move on and forget about her. After 2 years, I decided to move on, and now I have plans to marry another girl, but she's coming back telling me to take her back, that she was deceived. I'm confused. What should I do? Just write to me after. You need to talk to the counselors. They will tell you what to do. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I disagree. If you are lucky, you are lucky. To have a good marriage partner, it is luck and to an extent prayers. Not all religious and educated persons can succeed in marriage, because in school you study a course, not somebody or how to live in marriage life. Okay, so each marriage has got a different answer sheet with a different question to answer. I rest my case. Ken Miranda Epus Bakati at Go Bouquet Yaoundé. Good evening to you. Now I want us to use this time, the time left, to look at the second topic.
Mr. Lord, what that girl said is a very sweeping statement, which is wrong.
Hi.
Yes, it's a sweeping statement which should not be made, and I think that we should clarify that on the air.
Yes.
There is nothing like luck in marriage.
Okay.
You understand your partner.
Yeah.
You found someone you are compatible. That is it.
You cannot talk about luck with something that is a lifetime.
Yes.
You cannot be taking what is supposed to be a lifetime and talk about luck.
Okay.
Yes. Be intentional about it,
yes,
and learn how to choose a right partner.
Okay. We move on to our second topic for tonight, which has to do with intertribal marriages, the ups and downs of intertribal marriages. How do you counsel people in case of an intertribal situation? As a man of God, as a counselor, you tell them to move ahead, to consider the cultures and traditions. So you see them the way God sees us, without tribe, without color, without anything.
No, I have a general view about intertribal marriage.
Okay.
You should either be very matured and then again very spiritual in order to choose somebody from another tribe. You should be mature, very spiritual to choose somebody from another tribe. Again, it is not because you marry somebody from your tribe that makes that your marriage must work. No. So it takes a lot of maturity for marriage to work. Marriage can work again well when someone from another tribe has the same culture with you. You know, culture does not have to do with your tribe. Culture has to do with how you were raised. Upbringing. You know. So don't just get up and say, I want to choose somebody from another tribe, or I want to marry my own tribe's girl. Your tribe's girl may be having another culture. They may be raised differently, and you are raised differently. So when you are coming to choose a life partner, that is what you should check. In the church, they say, no, there is no tribalism or whatever. That is okay, that is true. But this is something. You must be very spiritual to the extent where you can remove those barriers. You must be very spiritual. Where you can look at somebody and say that this is my sister, blood of Christ has cleansed us, and we are growing in Christ. I am married to another tribe. My wife is not my tribe. But the way we are going is so wonderful, because we have come to maturity understanding that tribe has nothing to do with this thing. It's just a matter of culture. And I think, one, our culture is what? The Christian culture, the kingdom lifestyle, which is a culture. And then we also have a culture of education. We are learned. So we understand how to move in the society without necessarily the complication of tribe or those limitations. But I would advise, don't go to marry somebody from another culture or another tribe that you don't know. Maybe I should remove that word tribe and use culture. Don't marry from another culture when you don't know that culture. Like I tell people, to marry a Nigerian is a little bit easy because Nigerians have the same culture like us. We behave the same like us. If you watch the Nigerian movies and you watch what we do in Cameroon, especially those who speak English from the English origin, they will tell you that all of them are almost the same. They have the same culture and everything. So they can easily go. That's why there's a lot of intermarriage between Nigerians and Cameroonians, especially when it comes to maybe the Southwest and the Northwest. There's a lot of intermarriage because of what? Their cultures are the same. They have the same understanding. They have respect for husband and they have respect for wife and they have respect for children. So they can easily go. Don't go and look for somebody that has a total neutral culture. For example, in Cameroon right now, there are two conflicting cultures. That's why I don't like this issue of Francophone and Anglophone. I don't like it. I prefer that we use our culture. We have our culture, differences in culture, the French culture and the English culture. But now, as we begin to intertwine and we begin to interact, this Francophone culture becomes our culture. And it works so well. But if you think you cannot manage it, please don't go. Because there will always be a problem. Except you know you have come to of age and you have come to master different cultures before you can now go to this thing. I have told you, when we talk about this thing, we are not talking about tribe. Because when you say it's tribalism, I will marry a girl from my tribe, what you are trying to say is that you're trying to be tribalistic. But unfortunately, it is not tribe that works out marriage. It is culture. Your cultures are the things that make your marriage sweet. What kind of cultures did you develop? The culture of respect, the culture of love, the culture of peace, the culture of loving your neighbors, the culture of interacting with people you don't even know, the culture of all those cultures are those things you need to find out. Is my wife welcoming? Can my wife entertain strangers? Can my wife cook good food, the kind of food I like to eat? All those are things that people should look into before they get into marriage. If not, you'll be having a lot of culture conflicts. Culture conflicts. Culture conflict. You say no for our place. Nobody say they touch toothpaste. This one say no for our side. They teach we say they touch toothpaste now for front, and you begin to get quarrels, one quarrel after the other. I am calling on people today. Learn not to put tribe ahead of your marriage. Learn to put culture. What cultures do you people have, especially Christians? It's pathetic to see Christians still practicing tribalism, saying that they go back from their village, will go find woman for their church for village. That's what they do. They go and bring woman from their church for village. And some of them want to come, they leave church one Sunday, we did not see them the next Sunday, they are coming back with a new wife that they have married from the village and so on and so forth. And you begin to ask yourself that, are you going back to the village to marry tribe or you're going to marry culture? Now, the woman you brought from your village, that's why a lot of people are having this problem. You brought a lady from your village who is your tribe's girl, and neighbors are helping neighbors. Because of what? Her culture is different. You are different. You are coming from the same tribe or maybe from the same village, but your education or maybe what you have learned as you're growing makes it different now. You go and pick this girl and come and you are trying to force that girl to become like you, to like the things you like, to do the things you do, and to go to places that only you want to go. We have seen young girls that have come and they are more wild than even the ones that live in the coast.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and your family there in the house, always moved by your educated topics. If all partners take marriage as a friendly match, enjoying the marriage from both ends, and by obeying the scriptures in the Bible, Genesis 2:24, for this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh. Ephesians 5:22, wives, submit to your husband as to the Lord. Verse 25, husband, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and have himself up to her. They can succeed more than considering their level of education. I think love is all about living and understanding each other. Yvette from Chang, thanks, stay blessed with your working team. Thank you very much, Yvette. Good evening, Mr. Leo and the men of God. I have a Muslim friend who is married to a Christian and they are living happily. During Christmas, she cooks for the family, and during the Muslim feast, the husband joined the wife to celebrate. I think it all depends on the different families. Immaculate, okay? I was writing from...
Most of the time when you see something happen like this, I've always said this, there are certain groups of people based on their cultural differences and convictions that can never really go together unless they agree. Most of the time when you see these things work together like this, one or both of them are not really dedicated committed to their religion or their conviction.
Yes.
If one or both of them are, it will be difficult. If somebody is really committed to their conviction, it will be difficult for them to work together. But when both of them are loose, that's why I want to use this. It's a good idea. That's why you remember when you said, I said it happens.
Yes.
But you must know why it happens or how it happens.
It's just like somebody say I'm a Catholic but goes to church only on Christmas
Day. Yes.
Okay. And then you begin to say that it's a Catholic. I'm married Catholic, I'm married Pentecostal. You will be having a problem. If you are a dedicated Catholic,
you cannot get married to a dedicated Pentecostal. It will cause problem in church, in the house.
Greetings to everyone in the studio. To my own opinion, it is better to marry to a bad man that is a good husband than to marry a good man that is a bad husband. Like here in India, couple gets divorced after 3 weeks, some after 1 week, some on the same day if the wedding, of the wedding, and some after a few months. Why? Because the lady married a good man but a bad husband, or the man married a good woman but a bad wife. To conclude, can two work together except they agree? That should be the center of everything. There are all good and bad ways of getting a wife in the Bible. Some killed somebody's husband and took the wife. Some go and capture ladies from another town and took as wives. And the Bible did not say God was angry with that. Mba Emmanuel, writing from India. Okay, good and bad husband, I don't know. Yeah. Good evening, Panelists. I really think marriage is all about a mindset. When you train your mind to love your spouse unconditionally, then you will get the best marriage. Training your mind to be honest, and if any man desires best marriage, let him or her learn to be tolerant irrespective of the academic background. Writing from Yaoundé, dating and marriage is very different, and that is what most people don't yet know. Okay? Yes. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm enjoying the program. For me, intertribal marriage you understand the culture of your partners. Seka Emmanuel is writing from Boya. Mr. Leo, I thank you for the sensitive topic on marriage. My little worry is on the topic. I think everyone is religious. We have the African traditional religions, Indian religions, Muslim, Christianity, etc. But we seem to focus only on Christianity. My contribution in marriage is management. Kilo Samuel is writing from Gomgam in Bamenda. Mr. Liu, intertribal marriages are of no problem to the best of my knowledge. I think what is important is that the spouses respect their cultural diversity. Okay. What has been your experience of persons who have come to you who are married from different tribes?
Mr. Liu, I would say this, and I say it emphatically like I've always said. People don't marry individuals, if I can put it like that. People marry mindsets. I've always said here, you are not just marrying a person, you are marrying a mindset. In fact, when you approach it from this angle, you will know why it's necessary to understand yourself and understand who you want to spend your life with. You are getting married to a mindset. And unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, this mindset is created by the way we grow up, our families, our mentorship, our religious circles, whether we like it or not, they form this mindset. Culture. I'm getting to that. Now, these mindsets,
whether we also like it or not, certain tribes have prevailing mindsets. The kind of thing that Paul says that we war against, knowledge and things that wants to go against the knowledge of Christ. Different tribes have prevailing mindsets. Why do we say prevailing? Because everything has, not everybody is never 100%, but they are prevailing mindsets. For example, you discover that there are certain tribes that have a more accommodating nature of getting married to people from other tribes. There are some that, if you check, more than 70% come and marry only their tribes. Prevailing mindset. You will see some people, they will take, right, even in the Bible, Abraham tells his Eliezer to swear to go to another land, leave everybody here, go there to his people, describe the particular family. That's a very strong mindset. That's culture. That's culture. So when we interact, and here we cannot just easily judge because there are more cultures we have interacted as a counselor in the country and out of the country than others. And we can be familiar with some, we are not familiar with all. I can never claim to be an expert of all cultures. But one thing is certain, that tribes have prevailing cultures or prevailing mindsets. But then again, like my fellow panelists have said, so mindset can be dismantled and mindset can be built. There are people who say they are from Kambe, but they grew up all El Moliko. They have never seen even Bamenda here. Yes. But if you ask them, where are you coming from? They'll say Kambe. And then you hear another person say, oh, I'm a country girl. Yes. And you are running to a typical Moliko girl and you are saying that that's your country girl. That no, that's somebody from Southwest. She has lived all her life in the land of the Barbarians, and they are, whether you like it or not, even if their parents are very strong, like the Nigerians. I know of a Nigerian who is born here, but with the Nigerian accent. Nigerians are very strong with their cultures. Yes. But even no matter how strong they are, there must always be culture mix when you stay in a place for long. So you will hear somebody say, I was getting married, I'm from Kambe. I did not even go to Kambe when I was getting. So people will get married, I'm not even going to the village. It ends in the town. So you will discover that at the end of the day, mindsets are dismantled, mindsets are built. And now when also people come to the kingdom and they are truly committed to God, God dismantles our traditions and establish the kingdom culture. Good. So you will discover that somebody can say, I am from Bayangi, I am from Bali, I am from Dok, I am from here, but a new mindset, a new culture has been superimposed. Kingdom culture. And at the same time, whatever like or not, this kingdom culture also varies based on our doctrinal differences. Who raised you? So who raised you physically, who raised you spiritually, and even who raised you mentally? Because there are these three diverse. There are people who invest in you spiritually, there are people who invest in you mentally. We're talking about educational values. Just like educational values here and educational values maybe in the US might be different. You get it? So all of this, so immediately you just pop in and say, oh, this girl is from Ndu, and you think it's enough. There's a problem. It's a wrong thing. It's an issue. You will need to go inside and ask, yes, this girl might be from Ndu, but where did she grow? Who did she even grow with? Because there are some grandparents that hold more to traditional values than modern parents who grew in town. They can even be from the same village. Yes, but they were raised with different cultures. Or the person did not even grow up with the parent. Grew up with another parent from another tribe. Yes, a child might be from Ndop, but grew up with a parent from Mancon. So all of this, that's why, in fact, Mr. Leo, the truth is that one of the reasons why marriage has become more complicated is this reality. Life has become more cosmopolitan than it was before. Yes. Earlier, it was so easy for somebody to say, these are the traits of Bayangi. You grew up in Bayangi land. You grew up in Ejagam. This is all how we're operating. You have gone there 22 years. Now you're getting married to another Ejagam man. It's easy for those things to align. But most of the times, you get married to somebody who has gone to Dubai and come back. Like, mind not open. It don't come up, cross, go Mozambique, come back. Mind not open. So the truth is, it has become more complicated. So what we are saying is, it's difficult to just automatically conclude based on somebody's tribe right now. No, that is why we say marriage is not for kids. Sit down and learn. Sit down and profile.
Grow
Sit
to
down
maturity.
and ask questions. And if you have that maturity, like they are saying, to be able to handle, you know where this person is coming from, and you say, this is how the person is, this is how this person is, I can handle it. And above all, the reason why we are saying marry people who know God is because if they love God and they are submissive to God, there will be that ever increasing submission to the kingdom culture, which you can know where we are headed.
But sometimes they know they change. Even for instance, America, you have people who have not changed. They are still their tribe. After 21 years, they come.
Even in Nigeria,
their mob never changed.
even in Nigeria,
Okay,
They still have the same culture.
Yes.
the kingdom culture that you are preaching here, are people transformed by it?
People
Yes.
transform. Yes.
yes.
Because that one is
Are you
not
people not
us. That,
contradicting yourselves?
No, I'm the one. He was just
Yeah.
making a side comment. That's why I was confused. No, I was confused. Mr. I was confused that day.
You said the church is not too good, but you people behave now like, okay, forget about tribes in church. They form you. And
No, I'm not saying.
no,
I'm not
no,
saying
that's
church.
not what we go to.
No, that's not what I said, Mr. Leo.
No,
I
you
said.
you
No, I
you
said.
said the kingdom.
No, I said that
Kingdom
where the person
mindset
comes from.
is a
Whatever.
spiritual realm. It's not church.
Okay, Mr.
Yeah,
Leo,
yes,
Mr. Leo, let's be
church.
practical. No, Mr. Leo, let's be practical.
Yeah, go on.
Religion has its hold on the human mind.
Yes.
That's why we don't want to leave that aspect. And we are saying that if we want to get to marry somebody, where they are coming from, their religious background matter,
Yes.
because it can conflict with yours.
Yeah, because people give the impression like people from different cultural backgrounds cannot necessarily succeed in marriage, as if the cultures don't group them. That girls who are from, just by virtue of the way they are grouped up in their cultures, they prepare them very well.
Yes,
They prepare them very well.
no, Mr. No,
Yeah.
our essence here is that
No, you people are insisting
No.
on kingdom.
no, you
Kingdom
get
is
you
just
know
one
it was one
culture.
of the things I mentioned,
Yes.
Mr. Leo. I
We
said
don't have much time.
No, I
We have
said
to
something to
diversify
no,
this
Mr.
thing.
Leo. 1 minute. Let me make this clear. My point is this: you asked about tribe.
So the best marriages are found in church. The
No,
best intertribal marriages
no,
are found
Mr.
in
Leo, you are
church.
getting it wrong. Even we are just simply saying that don't use your knowledge of tribe in general to conclude on a person you meet. Keep tribe aside and learn to know the culture of the person.
Yes.
That's just what we are saying.
That is what we
And
are
we are
saying.
saying that this culture will involve how the person is raised physically, that's
Yes.
physical parents.
Yes.
How the person is raised mentally, that means even where the person go to school, education wise,
Yes.
and spiritually, we cannot leave behind their religious background. We are saying that if you understand these three cultures that has formed this person,
You raised the issue of molecular girls.
Yes.
I did not very good housewife material.
no, they are.
So
I was
why
just,
do you use-
I was using the point of simply saying Bakwarian. That means a person from Northwest can have lived all their life in the Southwest and still tell you that I am from Cambe, and you begin to try to rate the person based on your
from
knowledge of
Cambe.
Cambe. I said no, that person might have been in Bakwari land and have adopted Bakwari values. That's what I was saying.
Yes.
This is your talk.
You were not following.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a listen to Miss Asanji Yvette react to this topic.
Once more, good evening, Mr. Leo. Now, intertribal marriages, to me, I'm not so tribalistic when it comes to marriage. I believe that you can marry from any tribe and you can still succeed, in as much as both you are both committed to making your marriage work. But that will not change the fact that there will always be some differences or some challenges. I'm talking like, let's say, one, the aspect of language. There will always be language challenges, because let's say you might have to communicate with your spouse in public, and you don't want others to necessarily understand or know what you're saying. Now, you might have communicated with them in a dialect, but because of the fact that they don't understand your language, you might be forced to speak in English or use broken English. Okay. Now, another challenge is that children will grow up not knowing which of the language to learn, the dialect. Will they be learning the father's dialect, or they'll be learning the mother's dialect? So that's one key thing that might be a challenge when it comes to intertribal marriages. Okay. Now, we also have different cultures. Somehow there might be some similarities in culture, but we have cultural differences. Now, when it comes to that, if you happen to marry in another tribe, your spouse has a lot to do to help you understand their culture. And a spouse that is ready to teach and the other spouse is willing to learn, I think they can still live happily without a problem. But it might become a problem when maybe one is not willing to learn the other culture or to absorb it or to become part of it. Because once you're married, you become part of that culture, and you live, especially the lady. If you leave your culture, your own culture behind, and you now practice more of the culture of your spouse. So if you're married and you're willing to learn, I don't think there's a problem there. But if you choose not to, if you're not interested in, you always find it difficult and have challenges.
Okay, please, you better learn so that you don't find it difficult, especially if it's a Bayanga man. The earlier you learn how to cook good waterfall and arrow, if it's a man from Saltland, you must know how to cook kufukon. And Jama Jama, if he's from Mancon, you better learn how to cook achu. If it's yes, if he's from Douala, you also have to learn how to cook his favorite.
But it depends. Not everybody loves their tribal dish. Yeah,
but the problems that actually comes with intertribal marriages is not the man and the woman. It is the family.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it also
mostly the family. When there is an event, the people from this village, they come, and that is where now they. Paul, you sure say this woman correct? So you chop noise for this house. Sometimes you do it to please
the family.
Successful marriage doesn't depend solely on being educated or religious. It depends on character management and some level of education, because some of the marriages are not somehow successful today because of ignorance. I was living with and this girl did not even know how to spell her name or read her messages in her phone. But she was the highest person who tells me that I don't know anything. The most problem is that she never listens to advice or corrections when she makes mistake on something. With this girl lacked but education or what? Raphael is writing from Bafusam. Raphael, she lacks not education. It is an issue of manners.
Manner.
Yeah. Mr. Leo, good evening to you and the panelists. It's an interesting program, I must say, but this is what I have to say. The older generation who did not receive formal education succeeded in marriage than this over no generation, because they understood the virtues of absolute submission and respect for one another. Education is good, no doubt, but there is need for a regular marriage counseling. Pastor Ndile, writing from Yaoundé, I've noticed that a lot of homes are broken today just because of education. If everyone is well educated, you will definitely realize that everyone will be thinking higher than the other. Okay? Good evening to you all. Your program is amazing. I love it. Ali Harun is writing from Marwa. I think Apostle has a good point. Okay, Apostle. Good evening, Mr. Leo and the crew. To my understanding, a successful marriage is based on two aspects. That's love and submission. That's the main. The man is to love and the woman is to submit. Amma Favor is writing from Lolodov. Good greetings to you all in the studio, Mr. Leo. Marriage is not all about education. For example, my great-grandparents were not educated, but their marriage was successful. Jeffrey Akam, writing from Alimbe. A wife can never be a husband, and vice versa. Ndikam is writing from Oku. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and to all in the studio. I think education has nothing to do with marriage, because there are couples I know who are not educated but live happily till today. So I think marriage is cool on its own if we learn in the process and not out of it. Prince Romeo Foku, writing from Kumba. Hello, Mr. Liu. Marriage is not about your level of education or your money. It's about individual character, because have some pride and disrespect from. Okay, Elvis is writing from Pamenda. Elvis, your point was not too clear. Now, how do we ensure that intertribal marriages work? What are some of those things that those who find themselves in it should guard against, and those who are hoping maybe your fiancé is from a different tribe?
Yes. Review your culture again. Review your culture. What are your cultures? What are your virtues of your cultures? What did you learn when you were growing up? Who raised you? What is it about the society that you think when you apply into your marriages will be a wonderful thing? Now, like I told you, man of God, a lot of young pastors today, they rush to go and marry career women, and they don't know how to manage those such women. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of problems. That's the same thing with these cultural marriages. When you run and marry somebody from another tribe and you don't know how to handle that kind of a person. So I will plead with you that you understand the virtues of that tribe, and also you understand the vices of that tribe, because truly there are some tribes that no matter how they come to church, they will still remain almost the same. They will still keep their tradition. There were some people, some tribes, they don't change. And there are some tribes that people are they are noted for a particular thing, that if you want to make analysis, even those that have been raised in different cultures, you will still see traces of that particular thing. We know of tribes from the northwest, we know of tribe from the southwest, we know of tribe from the littoral, we know of tribes even from the center that they are noted for some particular things. And any girl or boy you see from that particular tribe, you see them exhibiting this, you see them exhibiting that same kind of quality. They exhibit that same kind of character. You know, like it is normal to say that a Bangi man is proud. It's normal to say that because we live with them every day, and we know that normally, you know, they like to talk big talk and some kind of things. It's normal. So when you're getting married to that kind of a place or that kind of a person, you know that you should expect those kind of big talks. You should expect those kind of things. And you should expect that a bank man prefer that you take care of a woman takes care of him than that he takes care of a woman. They have those kind of cultures. You know, there are some detailed things that we should know. Understand that culture, that particular tribe. Make sure, even if you did not learn it before now, try to learn it now. Try to see their vices so that you now learn how to accommodate their differences. This accommodation is some of the things that are lacking in marriage, and that is what is going on. We want people to change, but we don't know that there is also another change that they call accommodation. You accommodate them in that their situation, and they become better than when maybe you thought that they should change. People cannot change how they were raised to a certain extent, because it is their tradition. It is like a DNA. It is their blood. It is in their blood. There are some people, there's some particular tribes that are noted for lie stealing. There are some that are noted for prostitution. There are some that are noted for other things. So when you are getting married to those kind of tribes, please expect those things. And when you see them, like we used to say, take it to God in prayers. Take it to God in prayers. And then after you take it to God in prayers, carry out deliberate and intentional efforts to see how you can work on that person's life. Don't just give up on people. I tell you, a lot of people give up on people today because of their limitations or because of their shortcomings, which if you gave time to help them out, they would have become better people. I don't know why couples don't want to spend time raising up their people. And I know of people who are at old age, but they prefer to separate with their wives and suffer at old age, or a woman suffers. I know of situations where a woman abandoned the children with the husband and went and was doing anyhow. And if you want to go back to that particular tribe, you see that that is common with those kind of tribes. So before you go into a tribe, you must have known all this. And now that you did not know, now they are telling you, make findings and see it and know how to expect some of those things. You know, like Apostle Lefor, you know that the Bakri men are very good husbands now. They are very good husbands. That's not a joke. Bakri men are good husbands. That one, they can wash, they can cook, they can do so many wonderful things. They have a weakness for women. They know it. But you should know that as he is very caring and other things, he likes women. You should know that. A very caring husband, he can cook for you and everything. Don't forget that they can also like women. So you now look into that area and see how you can start strengthening the area of weakness and everything. I have cited some few things so that when you see them, you should not be surprised. Okay. You should know that these particular tribes, these are the exhibitions of the tribe. You don't need much prayer for those kind of things. You need to start learning how to be intentional, how you can change them.
Greetings, Mr. Liu. The analysis are superb. Thanks for the mind opener. Due to modernization, the upheavals that surrounds intertribal marriages are greatly reduced. Mr. Leo, we grew up abusing the Bamileke people, how they are dirty, and you can name them, but unfortunately I ended up with a Bamileke woman. Just like the speaker said, we are getting married to a mindset and not a tribe.
Yes.
What will stop me if I see a woman that is thick upstairs and our heart ties? You see, it's just a blind notion when we focus only on the tribe factor. Let's wake up from this tribe syndrome. Scott Asanji is Achani, writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you. Please, sir, I really need your advice. I'm dating. Okay, can you just write to me after the program? I'll give you the number of some counselors. Good evening to all. Marriage now love and understanding, and not that people should be educated before they get married. It's man nasty from Menka Pinin. Okay, good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Some cultures are too strong that cannot be forgotten. For example, a Banso child that has never been to the village will still have that culture. Okay, nothing is wrong with intertribal marriage. It's all about mindset, and most important, both couples should fear God. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Wisdom is the engine for marriage. Okay, good evening, house. Intertribal marriage is really a problem. Language barrier, there will be no secret. Okay, good evening, Mr. Liu and the team. I have a friend who went to the extent that he made knock door, and when the pastor of the girl was alleged about it, the pastor refused and said apostolate should marry apostolate. Okay, while Presbyterians should marry Presbyterian, for the guy was from the Presbyterian background. Gilbert is writing from Bamenda. Okay, I don't know whether the two apostles would have done that. Good evening, Mr. Leo, from the man of God's intervention on Christian getting married to Muslim. I hope the Bible says, "Go ye and multiply." The same Christian teaching prohibits polygamy. Okay, the same Christian teaching prohibits polygamous marriage and prostitution. The female to men population ratio in the world is 52 to 48%. How are the 4% excess female population going to procreate? If it does not tie with the topic of today, open a discussion on it, because I really want to know how a woman can procreate without a man. Mr. Seidu, writing from Kugo in Babesi. Okay. Greetings to Mr. Liu and Bishop Desmond, writing from Boya. For my own opinion of you, there is no formula for marriage. It all depends on the individual. You cannot tell someone who to get married to. What matters is the love they have for each other. Marriages between some contrasting cultures tie better than those within the same culture. Good evening to you and all the panelists in the studio. Kwanbe Luis, writing from Santa. Good evening, Mr. Leo and the panel. Saleh from Mutengene. Why are your panelists only talking about the downs of the topic? They are very successful tribal, intertribal marriages today. Marriages depend on the persons involved. If you want your marriage to work, you must be ready to build it by making sacrifices, because they are not perfect people here on earth. I mean intertribal marriages. Yes, that is exactly what Apostle is saying. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all the men of God in the house. I really love this topic, so sensitive. Mr. Liu, please, I have a fiance who is from Bayangi and I'm from Bamenda. Please, just to ask the men of God in the house if that combination is cool. It's Sandra, writing from Douala. I would say it's cool. Just go on. If you love her and she loves you. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening, Mr. Leo. This is Ne Edirisu from Yaoundé. I stand firm to disagree the fact of getting married to a man or woman which is not almost in the same level with you. Please, my people, look for your level in order to avoid problems and disgrace. I'm saying this out of experience in the field, okay? Good evening, Mr. Leo. Want to ask the man of God, what if you married a woman of different culture and the relationship is hell because of lack of understanding? What then is the way forward? It's Nelson, writing from Douala. You treat it the way you were to treat the case if you are married, gotten married to a girl from your village. It's better to be second wife to the right person than being the first wife to the wrong person. Life is happiness, not perseverance. Okay? Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm from Bamenda. More grace to you people in the studio. Mr. Liu, we are missing. Okay? Mr. Liu, marriage that is based on my right syndrome rather than tolerance can hardly survive. Kongso is writing from Ndop. We're going to be ending the program at this juncture. Thank you very much for coming.
Yes, but
you had something to add?
Yes, I just 1 minute. I just wanted to say that I have been singing a song here until I've been known for it. We're talking about profiling the man that you want to date. This is the whole essence of it. This is part of the profiling. In fact, in my teaching on profiling the man you're dating, you would discover that understanding the mindset, which we have talked about the culture of the person, is very vital. So I just want to say that you have heard a lot of cases. People say, now that you have entered into the marriage, what next? You will discover it's more difficult addressing it in the marriage, which would have been something you have addressed before the marriage. Unfortunately, young people today, they think dating is for clubbing, drinking, and having sex. No, these are the things you must sit down and take into consideration, because marriage is a very serious affair. So I just want to say that I have 2 resource materials that can help you in this line. Which one I've mentioned here, profiling the man you are dating. It's a whole teaching series which you can get from me, you can order, and I also have a book dealing with feeling unappreciated in a relationship, dealing with feeling unappreciated in a relationship. These 2 resources will help you, because you cannot appreciate somebody that you don't understand their culture, where they are coming from. So these 2 resource materials will help you. You can get it through 67552-8266. You can just write 67552-8266, write on WhatsApp, and you can place an order for these resource materials. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to Apostle Alfred for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. You have been doing a wonderful thing to the nations of the world, and we applaud that great work you've been doing. And we also say that you that are out there, please don't forget this great man you see here. He's a blessing to humanity.
Okay, thank you for appreciating the work we do here, but we would not be doing this without you guys now. If you are not there, I cannot host this program. So I'm rather more grateful for your consistency in coming to educate Cameroonians. They appreciate the programs because of what you guys are giving out there. We want to say thank you to the production team, Eli and Desmond for production, Tabit and Bryant for supervising. We are so grateful to all of you who are always watching the program. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.